Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Representative Garofalo. Is there any objection to the motion to report House Bill 813 favorably? Representative LaFleur has objected. We will ask for a call of a vote.
Last. Representative Bakala? Yes. Representative Bryant? Representative Fontenot?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Garofalo?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Gudo? Yes. Representative LaFleur? No. Representative Marcel? Representative McCormick?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Hodges? Representative Muscarello?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Nelson? Representative Seabaugh?
Absolutely.
Yes. Representative Villio? Representative Marino?
No.
No. 7 yeas, 2 nays.
Thank you, committee.
Okay.
Thank you.
House Bill 813 will be reported favorably.
Guys, what you just watched was the first ever bill to abolish abortion immediately that has ever been passed through a committee. That was huge, what just happened a few hours ago.
Yeah, anywhere. Me and James were watching it live, and it was incredible to see the amount of people that turned out to support the bill.
Yeah.
And even the pro-aborts had some great things to say. I kept agreeing with a lot of the stuff they were saying. They're like, this would make an embryo a person. Yeah.
That's correct. That's correct.
We're good with that.
Yeah.
Cue the bearded man whispering into the ear. Yes.
Yep. And so, this is a bill. It would kind of the same as all abolition bills. It was written by Bradley Pierce, Foundation to Abolish Abortion, so it reads the same as Oklahoma, Texas, all the previous bills. It redefines in the homicide codes unborn child to mean an individual human being from fertilization until birth, and it redefines person to be includes a human being from the moment of fertilization. So again, preborn children would be included in the homicide code. To murder a preborn child would be homicide. Yes, pro-abort, that includes embryos. Mm-hmm. That includes everyone created in the image of God who has been conceived and who is a human being. Mm-hmm. And so that is what this bill would do. Beyond that, it says that any federal statute, regulation, treaty, executive order, or court ruling that purports to supersede, stay, or overrule this section shall be in violation of the United States Constitution and the Constitution of Louisiana and is therefore void, right? And so Louisiana is saying we are not going to abide by Roe v. Wade if somehow it's miraculously upheld, or if Congress passes that law that's already passed the House, basically codifying Roe into law. If that's passed, this would be ignoring that. And it's saying here in Louisiana, we are not going to abide by any federal action telling us that we have to allow the murder of children. Yeah. And on that point, there actually was some back and forth between the chairman of the committee and Bradley Pierce, the attorney, and then also Brian Gunter, pastor from Louisiana, stepped in here to answer this question as well. But yeah, the chairman of the committee was basically saying, are we really saying that we can just ignore the Supreme Court if we disagree with what the Supreme Court's saying? And what Bradley said was, you did not, you as a state representative, you did not take an oath to the Supreme Court. You took an oath to the Constitution. Yeah. The Constitution says there's a right to life. It says there's a right to the equal protection of the law. It does not say there's a right to an abortion. So you have to uphold the rights to life and equal protection and not the right to abortion. Yeah. And then Pastor Gunter also chimed in. He talked about something that we talk about a lot here at Free the States, and that is the fact that there was a fugitive slave law that said the northern states had to return escaped slaves back to their owners in the South. And people in the North were like, nope, we're not doing it. And the actual Supreme Court of the state of Wisconsin said, nope, that fugitive slave law is unconstitutional and it is void in Wisconsin. And then the states of New York and Massachusetts and Michigan and others followed suit in similar ways. Yeah. The Supreme Court is not the Pope. There's no infallible interpreter. And of course, the Pope is not an infallible interpreter. Big surprise there. But everyone's an interpreter. And if you take an oath to uphold a certain document, then you have to know what it means. And everyone knows that obviously the Constitution does not support the murder of preborn children. It's just not in there. Yeah. So the idea that we have to obey the Supreme Court no matter what is something that historically is just not the case. And it's not in the Constitution. Yeah. We're not forced to uphold the decisions of the Supreme Court. Legislators are required to uphold their oath of office and enforce the Constitution, and they don't have a right to do otherwise. Yeah, there's a quote from a guy named John Hart Ely, who is the former dean of Stanford Law School, and he was politically, he was on the left. He supports abortion as a matter of policy, but when commentating about the Roe versus Wade opinion, he said, Roe, quote, is not constitutional law and gives almost no sense of an obligation to try to be. So he's saying, not only does everyone know Roe's wrong, the people who wrote it knew it was wrong, and they didn't even try all that hard to make it look like they were doing something that was justified. They basically just said it was a transparent power grab. They're saying, look at me, I'm the captain now. We don't care if this is illegal. This is what we're doing. That's what Roe was. And legal scholars on the left admit that. And the idea that we would just keep abiding by it is really, really insane and evil. And in Louisiana, they're not going to do it. And then, of course, the leak has happened. It appears likely that Roe might be overturned. But then even if it is, again, then we might have to deal with an actual federal law that we have to defy. And so we may still have to defy Washington, D.C. if that law is able to be passed. And so language like this is important. And then not only does this bill does it ignore Washington, D.C. if Washington, D.C. forces abortion on Louisiana, it also says, in Part F, pursuant to the powers granted to the legislature by Article 10, Part 3 of the Constitution of Louisiana, any judge of this state who purports to enjoin, stay, or overrule, or void any provision of this section shall be subject to impeachment or removal. So we're saying that we're not going to abide by Roe v. Wade or anything that comes out of D.C., but we're also saying if a Louisiana state judge tries to strike this down, if a Louisiana state judge says, oh, there's a right to abortion in the Louisiana Constitution, that judge shall be impeached because that's a violation of our state constitution. And if a Louisiana state judge tries to put the right to murder into our state constitution, they should not have a job. They don't deserve to be to have their position. Yeah. And just to clarify I saw a bunch of people who were a little bit confused online. This bill has made it through a committee, which that's the first time an abolition bill has made it through a committee. It still needs to make it through the whole body of the House and then over to the Senate. And then once the Senate passes it, it'll go to the governor's office. Yep. And if the governor signs it, it'll go into law. So we're not there yet, but this is a big first step. And just be praying that this passes. Be praying that this goes through the House very speedily. It goes through the Senate, and then it gets to the governor's desk, and it gets signed. Yeah, and so far it is sailing fairly smoothly. It went through by a vote of 7-4 to 2 against, so it went through pretty easily.
Probably 2 Democrats, I'm guessing.
2 Democrats, yeah. But the one hitch in that was that one of the Republicans who voted for it, he said, I'm going to vote for this, but I do want to see amendments made to this. And he was it seemed like kind of objecting to the language about ignoring Roe or ignoring Washington, D.C. Yeah. And so he might try to kind of mess with some of the language in this bill, or others of his colleagues may try to amend the language in this bill, which obviously we don't want to happen. And so be praying that doesn't happen. But apart from praying for this bill, for praying for Representative Danny McCormick. Danny McCormick, thank you so much for putting forward this bill. You all be in prayer for him. But in addition to that, in addition to your prayers, we need you guys to make some phone calls, because in order to get this to the next step in the process, that next step is a hearing on the floor of the House. And so we need House Speaker Clay Schexnayder, whose contact info should be here. We need him to bring this bill up for a hearing. And so, guys, please call him, and then also call Tanner Magee, who is the Speaker Pro Tem of the House. He's the number 2 in command. And so we need you guys to both call and email them respectfully, asking that they bring HB 813, the Abolition of Abortion in Louisiana Act, up for a hearing. And I say respectfully because, like I said, so far there's been no hitches. This bill is going smoothly through the process. And so don't give them a reason to reconsider that, right? Be respectful. Say that you can be harsh and truthful. Like say that babies are murdered in the state of Louisiana, and you have a responsibility to do something about that. So please give this bill a hearing. Like you can be truthful, but don't be attacking or going after their character or anything like that before they've done anything wrong. So just be requesting that they hear this bill and that they would hear it speedily, so that justice might be established speedily in the state of Louisiana. So that's what happened today. Again, guys, this has been huge news. This is a very, very exciting development. So like I said, be in prayer for the bill, be in prayer for Representative Danny McCormick and for all of his colleagues in the State House, that they would pass this bill and that this bill would be passed by the Senate and signed into law very, very soon. So like I said, again, final call to action. Call and email Representative Schexnayder, call and email Representative Magee, and ask them to push this to the floor, give it a hearing, and pass it over to the other side.
Yep. We'll see you next time.